Hello, and welcome to the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. I'm your host, Lauren, the Outdoorsy Diva. Thanks for joining. This episode is brought to you by Visit Florida, Florida's official source for travel planning to visitors across the globe. A Florida vacation shifts your perspective. Vacations are less about what you do, more about what they do for you. Visit visitflorida.com to plan your next Florida adventure. Hey. Welcome back. Did you miss me? Because I certainly missed you. I am back from my mid-season break. I always take that break in the middle of the season to enjoy a bit of the summer. And as we know, yes, we're still in the middle of a pandemic with the dreaded C word, but I did find a way to get out and do some exploration safely. I partnered with Visit Florida this summer to do some exploring in my own backyard. So I cannot wait to share with you the road trip and the staycation that I took because it was just amazing. And if you already follow me on social media, you've already seen some of the fun things that I got up to. And I'm going to give you the behind the scenes scoop on what I did and how I planned it and how you can plan these adventures too. So let's get into it. The first destination that I'm going to share with you this half of the season is Venice Beach, Florida. That's right, not Cali. Florida's got our own Venice Beach too. And I'll admit, it's somewhere I've never been. It's just a little bit more than an hour's drive south of Tampa. And I've passed the exit on the interstate a million times, never stopped. So we're going to talk about Venice Beach. I'm going to share with you also about Nokomis, which is a smaller beachside town that's just north of Venice. And that's actually where my home base was for this adventure. That's where I stayed at Escape Casey Key Resorts. And it was just super cute. I was really intrigued by the town called Nokomis, and that's because it reminds me of my granny. There's a poem, The Song of Hiawatha by Longfellow, that she used to say all the time, and it was, "By the shores of Gitche Gumee stood the wigwam of Nokomis, daughter of the moon Nokomis." That's really the only part I remember, so don't judge me. But I was really intrigued just because of that name, and it reminded me of her. So I was excited that I was going to be staying in Nokomis for the first time. So where did I stay? I stayed at Escape Casey Key Resort. Casey Key is the name of the key where Nokomis actually is. A key, fun fact that I learned during my adventures this summer. The difference between a key and an island is that a key does not have its own freshwater source. An island does, and that's what makes a key and an island. You're welcome. So I stayed on Casey Key, and that is part of Nokomis. And it was weird because this was, the beginning of hurricane season. And my trip had actually gotten postponed by a week because the week prior we were expecting a storm. We weren't sure which direction it was going to go. We knew we'd get a lot of rain bands, so they wanted to make sure I'd be able to enjoy it. And so when I was there was all this bright red seaweed churned up on the beaches. So the beaches didn't look like they normally look, so I was told. But I had never seen bright red seaweed like this, so the nature photographer in me was completely fine with that. I did not care that I couldn't get in that water. I just wanted the amazing pictures, and amazing pictures is what I got. These are some of the most phenomenal sunset pictures I have ever taken. So hands down, some of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen were at Nokomis Beach. It was breathtaking. The color of the water is like a bright greenish turquoise emerald color to it. It was really, really, really pretty. But the sand is a little bit darker than what I'm used to. It kind of had like a grayish tint to it, but there's a reason for that. So this whole stretch of beach from like Minnesota Key, Nokomis, Venice, that whole area, it sits on a fossil shelf. And so that makes the sand have that really unique color because it has all of those minerals and fossils and things in it. So let's talk about where I stayed. Escape Casey Key. Oh my goodness. I absolutely loved staying here. So these are luxury villas and they have access to the intercoastal as well as the Gulf. So you've got the beach on one side and you've actually got a marina right behind it on the back side. And they do marine slip rentals as well. They have a pool house. They have all the amenities. I was in the 1-bedroom villa and it was so spacious. It's massive. It's basically like being in a house. It has a full kitchen. It had all stainless steel appliances, everything you could possibly need, a dining table, sofa, flat screen, big screen TV, tile floor. There was also a TV in my bedroom, huge bathroom with a walk-in style ADA friendly shower. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful property. I loved it so much. I was so comfortable. It was very, very clean. They are taking all of this really serious. For COVID specifically, you know, they have things in place like masks are required on site. There's no contact between the staff and the guests. So if somebody has to be in your place, you can't be in there with them. When they clean the rooms are treated with electrostatic disinfecting spray. They have hand sanitizer throughout all the public areas. And every unit has a separate entry, so you're not in the hallways or anything like that with anybody. And then the best part is they are using those HEPA MERV 13 air filters in the AC systems, which are similar to the filters that are used in the hospitals. Employees' temperatures are taken at the beginning of every workday, so they're doing everything they possibly can to keep you safe. That being said, yes, I still sanitize the space myself. So I still brought my my Lysol. I still brought my disinfectant, bleach wipes to wipe down high touch surfaces, especially stuff like door handles, fixtures, light switches, the remote controls on the TV, all the places that you touch a lot with your hands. I did disinfect and wipe those down, as well as use my disinfectant spray on the furniture, on my linens. You could also bring your own linens as another way to stay safe as well, but I didn't do that for this particular trip, but you definitely could. I just chose to use my spray instead. Plus, I had read their guidelines, and so I felt fairly comfortable with their level of sanitization as well, so I didn't do that this time around. They also use the key cards for your room. And I can't say enough about how much I love this space. They greeted me with champagne on ice and some Italian cookies from a local Italian restaurant. So that was a really nice touch to come to, with the glasses all set out for me, ready to go. So it's great. It's a beautiful property. They've got outdoor showers if you walk over to the beach for you to come back and clean your feet off. They also have a lot of like lush greenery throughout the property, areas for you to sit out and relax. I honestly wish that I didn't have such a packed itinerary so that I really could have taken in, you know, just being on the property and enjoying being there. I feel like it's a great place for a getaway, for a reset, for you to feel like you're somewhere else, even if you're only an hour away from home. One of the highlights of my trip, aside from the awesome beaches, of course, was a trip to the John and Mabel Ringling Museum. That's right, I finally got to go to the Ringling. Now, admittedly, I didn't know much about it. I had heard of it, I knew that, yes, Ringling is in Ringling Brothers, as in the circus founder, that Ringling. I just assumed ignorantly that it was all about the circus. That's what I thought. So it was never on my list of like places to go or things to see. But of course, when it was on the itinerary of something to do, hey, I'm always down for something new. I like the circus. I thought it'd be interesting. Boy, was I blown away. Y'all, apparently I live an hour away from literally one of the best collections of art and culture in the United States. These are items that have been curated for nearly a century by John and Mabel Ringling. This is from their personal collections, and I had no idea the immense amount of art that I was about to see. It's comparable to going to any of these big museums overseas. Like when I went to the British Museum for the first time, I was blown away. And honestly, I felt completely dumb. Like, how could you not know that this magnificent collection of art was so close to home? So if you are a Floridian and you're within a 2 to 3 hour drive, even 4-hour drive, I think it's worth it. It's totally worth it to plan a day trip just to come and visit this museum. You are certainly missing out if you've never been here. There are numerous galleries. There's over 31 galleries. There is, in fact, a circus exhibit, so that did not disappoint. And don't skip it. The circus exhibit is so dope. It's got like a huge replica of the early circus, and it literally fills up an entire room with all of these models and miniatures and even the trains. So that was really fun and really nostalgic to see. There is even a glass exhibit that was really neat. There's gardens, and then there's the famed Catazone Mansion, which was actually the home of John and Mabel Ringling that they had built, and now it's part of the museum. I actually didn't tour this particular part this time because when we checked in, we were told it was under some construction right now, and it would have been an additional cost to my comp admission. So because it was under construction, I want to see it when it's finished. And trust me when I say I'm definitely planning to go back, because there was so much to see. You just can't see it all in one day. It was phenomenal. Now, I have to say, my absolute favorite part of the exhibit was the Chinese exhibit, and it had relics that dated all the way back to the 1st and 2nd century. They even had an item there that dated all the way back to BC, y'all. BC. Shout out to Brad, one of the Ringling staff, who was so kind to show my friend and I some of these relics in the Chinese exhibit, because I was just so taken aback at how old these things were, and I just found it really fascinating. It's really cool to see a lot of the art. It goes by room, and you'll start in like the 14th century, and then the 15th century, and then you work your way up every room to another century, and it's just, the scale of it is mind-blowing. And then of course there's the famed pink courtyard that is just breathtaking. It was like I let out an audible gasp when we walked outside, and I can't wait for the temperatures to cool off because it was really hot, and so it just wasn't an ideal day to spend a ton of time out there. But I definitely did take some time, took a few pictures. It's a gorgeous property. It really is. It really is. And then it sits right on the water, so the view behind the Catazone and the grounds, you can go back there on that veranda that wraps around it on the outside, and you just take in these beautiful pictures of the bay back behind there. So highly recommend the Ringling Museum. And I'm really sad that I didn't know before now that such a magnificent museum existed, but that one, highly recommend, definitely worth the trip. Another new experience for me on my itinerary was riding an e-bike. Yes, an electric bicycle. I've never done this. So I was really looking forward to it, to riding the bikes. And I have to say, the people there at Big Bam e-bikes, they are really friendly. They really take great care of you, and they're very knowledgeable, and they're gonna make sure that you feel safe. So we went in the parking lot to practice first so I could understand how to work the controls and get my bearings. And let me tell you, I have not been on a bike. I rode a bike, 3-4 years ago when I went to my camping trip. I did get a bike for the day and rode around on the island. But prior to that, I probably hadn't been on a bike since I was like 10 years old. And so I was a little apprehensive about this. This is honestly not one of the activities that's usually on my list, is bike riding. But since it was an e-bike, I'm like, oh, well, this should be fun and it'll be different. And I'm so glad that I got to try it, because once I got the hang of it and I discovered that you don't have to pedal, pedaling is for suckers. I will never ride a regular bicycle again. Give me an e-bike any day of the week and I am good to go. It was so cool because the bike accelerates and it actually has pedal assist to help you. So I loved it. I'm sold. They're also really cute. They're kind of retro looking, and they've got the baskets on the front for your stuff. Of course, you get a helmet. I think it's a really fun, safe way to see Venice, to do an e-bike rental or e-bike tour. They have the Legacy Trail that you can take that goes along that canal. Really, really fun way to see Venice. I'll let you in on a little secret. So I ended up getting a little heat sick during our ride, and I had to be brought back and I couldn't finish my tour. And I was so sad because I was having so much fun, y'all. You can see the joy on my face. There's video if you go to my Instagram at Outdoorsy Diva, and you will see how much fun I was having. Yeah, I don't know. I got heat sick. I started feeling kind of dizzy. And it was just not a good look for me at that time. I was heartbroken because I was having such a good time. You can see the video and see my kid-like joy. If you go to my Instagram, it's in my reels at Outdoorsy Diva. Pamela, one of the co-owner of Big Bam e-bikes, she is such a sweetheart, and she really wanted to make sure that I was okay and safe above all. And you know, she got me water, got me back to the shop so I could cool off and all that good stuff. It was actually quite an ordeal. She ended up going to borrow a friend's golf cart, and then she drove back to get me because we were too far to walk for how far we had been on our bikes, and then loaded up the bikes and me on the golf cart, and then she got me back to the shop so that I could cool off and you know, get more pictures and get water and all that good stuff. So I have to go back because I have to complete that ride. I have to complete my tour. Like I feel like I just have to do it. I can't let that be undone in life. It's one of those things. I can't be defeated by the e-bike. But I highly recommend it. I think it's a great, easy activity. I just think I was dehydrated that day and not feeling great. But Pamela took good care of me. Definitely go see the people at Big Bam e-bikes. I mentioned to you earlier about the difference in the Venice Beach sand, right? And how it sits on this fossil shelf. Well, what that also means is it is one of the top places in the world to find and collect shark's teeth. That is right. It is the prime location for shark tooth hunting. The fossil layer actually expands 35 feet deep. And so this is back from when Florida was underwater like 10 million years ago. So you get to find shark teeth. It is the coolest thing ever. People find small teeth, even up to large teeth. I've seen people find mastodon teeth. Like, you can find some really amazing things there. You even find the bony structures that stingrays have in their mouth to chew their food. They kind of look like a bar with these little grooves on it. It's really, really, really neat to do. And the great thing was that Shark Frenzy is a company that specializes in helping you finding shark teeth. So they make the tools to help you dig and sift and make it so much easier to be able to do it. And I can attest that it makes all the difference in the world. And as far as the beaches you can do it at, you can do it right there at Venice Beach at the pier. You can do it at Brohar Beach. You can do it at Casperson Beach. There's several locations. You can do it at Nokomis. Up and down that whole shoreline is an abundance of shark teeth that you can find. I found quite a few on my own, and I went a second time with my son, and we found like 50 in one day. We were really proud of that. We found a lot of sand-toothed tiger teeth. We found a hammerhead tooth, a lot of lemon shark teeth. I think those might be my favorite because they're pretty cool looking. I did find one bull shark tooth. It's really neat. It's a really neat experience. You have your scooper and your sifter, and you basically dig at the shoreline where the waves crash, and then you put them on your sifter. That's special because it floats, and then it has a jar attached to it to make it easy to collect what you find. So it's a really fun way to spend time at the beach. You'll see people walking along just trying to find them with their naked eye too in the shells that watch up, but I think this is way more efficient. And don't think it's something that only like kids would like. I mean, little kids will love it, but my 20-year-old son had the time of his life. He actually asked to go back. We just went back just yesterday, actually. We went back down there just for the day to do some digging and look for some more shark's teeth. So it's good for the big kids, the little kids, the in-betweens, for us big grown-ups who are still kids at heart. This is a really, really fun way to do something different at the beach. And of course, if you want that time in nature, Sarasota County has that too. You can go down to Mayaka River State Park. It's actually one of my favorite state parks in the entire state, and that is because it is home to the tree canopy. So you climb up the stairs, you walk in the tree canopy, and then that takes you to an observatory tower, which gives you amazing, breathtaking panoramic views of natural Florida. It also has, there's a river, you can kayak on the lake. It is home to some huge gators, wildlife meadows. There's also a boat tour on the lake. There's camping at Mayaka. Mayaka is an amazing state park, and it's a great way to spend part of your day. Now, when it comes to food and what to eat when you are visiting Venice, there was no shortage of good seafood meals to be had. I loved every single meal that I had. Do you hear me? Every single meal. I had dinner at Pop's Sunset Grill, and it was phenomenal. I had this, it was a platter that had grilled shrimp with mango salsa, also had a lobster tail, and then I had the fish of the day, and that happened to be a blackened swordfish. Oh my God, amazing meal. Of course, they do have outdoor seating. You can sit right there on the waterway and catch the beautiful sunsets of Nokomis. Pops is right there in Nokomis, and it was a phenomenal meal. The only thing is, of course, because you're outside and you're on the water, you've got the resident birds that want to come and try to intimidate you out of your food. There was one particular bird, I've named him Bob. Bob thought that he could stare me down for my meal. They give you these neat little things to put on your table, and they whir around, and it deters the birds from trying to swoop in, because I guess they'll see it and think that they can't land there. But it did not stop him from walking around stalking me and giving me the eye. So you just got to give Bob the what for and show him that you're not going to back down from your food, and then he'll leave you alone. But don't turn your back, because he just might get in there and steal a waffle fry. The other amazing meals that I had, we ate at Sharky's. Sharky's is right there at the Venice Pier, and my favorite thing that I had there was the Aruba Pasta. To die for. It is a pasta with a white sauce. It's got mushrooms, it's got red peppers, and it has lobster, scallops, and shrimp. Yes, in one pasta. And they do not skimp out at all. Do you hear me? Chock full of seafood. If you're a seafood lover, get this meal. It's an expansive menu, so there's lots of things to choose from, and that's what I had, and I was so pleased with it. They also give you bread while you wait, and they have different breads of the day. They had strawberry bread when I was there. Oh my God, so good. And I asked for some to go because it was just that good. And then the other meal that I absolutely love was at Chaz 51 Steakhouse. Oh, phenomenal. Now, this was actually my first time doing indoor eating, because they don't have, they had outside seating, and it was just kind of outside in front of the venue, but it wasn't crowded. We had reservations. Everything was well spaced and social distance. I felt like it would be okay, so I went ahead and opted to dine inside this time around. The staff was amazing. They took great care of us, and our meal was phenomenal. We tried the shrimp Florentine appetizer. We had bacon wrapped jerk scallops. Amazing. Do not skip those. If you like scallops, and who doesn't like bacon, you'll love it. You will absolutely love it. For my entree, I had the lobster mac and cheese. So good. And it's not just lobster mac and cheese, it is bacon lobster mac and cheese, and it's phenomenal. It's to die for. Like, I have been contemplating driving an hour to go back and get some ever since this road trip. I have been dying to go back because that food was phenomenal. It was so good. Highly recommend it. My date that joined me for dinner that evening had, I believe it was a jerk salmon of some kind, and he really liked his food too, and it was topped with some kind of crab meat or something like that. We had the asparagus, and that was also very tasty. So yeah, for dessert, the creme brulee, phenomenal. And I am a creme brulee connoisseur. Love creme brulee. The creme brulee was excellent. I have no complaints whatsoever about this meal. Highly recommended. So if you get a chance to check out Chaz 51 Steakhouse, do so, because they are also a phenomenal restaurant, also a Black-owned business. And as y'all know, I'm always down for supporting minority-owned businesses. So, I mean, as far as safety, I just reiterate, do what makes you comfortable. 99% of everything I did, aside from that one meal, everything I did was outdoors. It was outdoors in open air spaces. Well, I take that back. The Ringling was indoors. Masks were required. But of course, they also had that courtyard, and it's open air. It's huge. It's massive. You're not in like a small enclosed area. Social distancing is definitely enforced. So I consider that a relatively low risk activity as well. So there are ways that you can enjoy some things, but do so in a safe manner. If you do choose to travel during this time, make sure that you follow all regulations for not only that establishment and that business, but also for the county, for the state where you are. Be respectful of other people, be kind, and we can all still get through this together. So wear your mask, wash your hands, have your hand sanitizer with you, sanitize your space, and just be careful, be cautious, but you can still get out there and do a bit of exploration in your own backyard. Of course, if you do choose to travel at this time, doing so is at your own risk. Just be sure that you are safe. This trip was hosted and sponsored by Visit Florida, along with Visit Sarasota and their partners. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, make sure you subscribe to the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. Be sure to check out Misadventures of an Outdoorsy Diva blog on OutdoorsyDiva.com. You can also keep up with me and my adventures, so check out all of my social channels. Find Outdoorsy Diva on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest.